In 2026, the world's most strategic choke points are becoming more important than ever. These narrow passages, from the Strait of Hormuz to the Taiwan Strait, control the movement of global trade, oil, gas, and essential goods that keep economies functioning. Even a small disruption in any one of them can lead to global consequences, including sudden spikes in energy prices, shipping delays, and major supply chain failures. These choke points are where geography and geopolitics meet, and their stability is closely watched by governments, militaries, and industries around the world. In this video, we'll explore the 8 most critical choke points in 2026 and explain why each one has the power to affect billions of people if things go wrong. 1. Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, situated between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, is the world's most vital energy choke point. Approximately 1/5 of all seaborne oil, including a significant portion from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iraq, passes through this narrow strait. At its narrowest, it spans just 33 kilometers, making it highly susceptible to blockades, political tension, or military action. The region has long been a flashpoint, and in 2025, renewed confrontations and naval maneuvers heightened global concern. Analysts warn that any disruption could immediately drive oil prices to record highs, affecting economies worldwide and prompting nations to scramble for alternative energy sources. Beyond oil, natural gas shipments and commercial cargoes also transit through this passage, underscoring its global significance. By 2026, the Strait of Hormuz is not just a passage for ships. It represents a potential tinderbox where the balance of energy markets, international politics, and global stability could be suddenly threatened by a single event. 2. Strait of Malacca. The Strait of Malacca, threading between the Malay Peninsula and the Indonesian island of Sumatra, is among the busiest shipping lanes on Earth. Nearly a quarter of global maritime trade passes through it, including oil, gas, raw materials, and finished goods destined for Asia. Its narrowest point is only a few kilometers wide, causing extreme congestion and leaving little room for error. Any collision, piracy attack, or political conflict in the region could halt the passage entirely. With millions of tons of containerized goods and energy shipments transiting daily, a disruption here could cascade through global supply chains, delaying production, inflating costs, and disrupting energy markets. Asian economies, particularly China, Japan, and India, are highly dependent on this corridor for trade and energy imports. In 2026, the Strait of Malacca is not merely a maritime route. It is a lifeline for a significant portion of the world economy. Its vulnerability highlights how the flow of global commerce depends on a narrow, heavily trafficked stretch of water that could determine the pace of economic activity across continents. 3. Suez Canal. The Suez Canal, linking the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, is a man-made marvel that has served as the shortest maritime route between Europe and Asia for over a century. Approximately 10 to 12% of global maritime trade passes through it annually, including container shipments, oil, and bulk goods. The canal is extremely narrow, forcing vessels to navigate in close quarters, and any accident or geopolitical tension can quickly block the flow of goods. In 2023 to 2025, attacks on vessels and threats in the nearby Red Sea forced shipping companies to bypass Suez, taking the long route around Africa, adding weeks to voyages and inflating fuel and insurance costs. A major disruption would ripple across global markets, delaying consumer goods, raw materials, and energy shipments, and placing enormous strain on supply chains. By 2026, the Suez Canal exemplifies the delicate balance of global trade, a single choke point whose closure or instability could trigger cascading economic consequences across continents, highlighting the interdependence of modern supply networks and global commerce. 4. Bab el-Mandeb. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait, connecting the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden, serves as a critical maritime gateway between Europe and Asia. At its narrowest, the passage spans just 26 kilometers, rendering it highly vulnerable to military threats, piracy, and sabotage. Between 2023 and 2025, militant attacks and drone strikes on commercial vessels raised global concern and forced ships to reroute, increasing travel time, fuel costs, and insurance premiums. Oil tankers, container ships, and bulk carriers rely on Bab el-Mandeb as a shortcut that saves thousands of miles and days of travel. Any significant disruption would necessitate a lengthy detour around Africa, creating cascading effects on energy markets, trade costs, and supply chains. In 2026, Bab el-Mandeb is more than just a strait. It is a linchpin in global shipping and a choke point whose instability could have far-reaching economic and geopolitical consequences, demonstrating the fragility of the world's interconnected maritime trade network. 5. Panama Canal. The Panama Canal, linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, remains essential for global trade. By providing a shortcut for shipping routes between Asia, the Americas, and Europe, it saves thousands of miles compared to the alternative route around South America. In recent years, droughts and fluctuating rainfall have reduced water levels, forcing the Canal Authority to restrict vessel drafts and limit daily transits. These restrictions have slowed shipments of containerized goods, oil, and bulk commodities, disrupting supply chains and inflating shipping costs. Even short-term delays have global implications, delaying critical shipments and impacting industries that rely on just-in-time logistics. By 2026, the canal's vulnerability to climate-induced challenges underscores that even engineered waterways are at risk. Its continued smooth operation is crucial, not only for regional trade but for global commerce, making it one of the world's most strategically important choke points whose disruption would echo across international markets and economies. 6. Bosporus and Dardanelles. The Turkish Straits, the Bosporus and Dardanelles, are the only maritime passages connecting the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. Millions of tons of oil, grain, and bulk goods pass through annually, linking Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine, and beyond to global markets. Recent conflicts, including the ongoing war in Ukraine, have highlighted the strait's strategic importance and vulnerability, as attacks and military tensions have restricted commercial traffic. Control over these straits equates to significant geopolitical leverage, and any disruption could block critical exports of grain and oil, affecting food and energy security globally. In 2026, these straits are not simply waterways. They are pivotal choke points where the balance of international commerce, regional security, and economic stability converge. Their significance serves as a reminder that narrow passages often hold outsized influence over global markets and political dynamics. 7. Strait of Gibraltar. The Strait of Gibraltar, connecting the Atlantic Ocean with the Mediterranean Sea, serves as a crucial maritime passage for Europe, North Africa, and the broader Mediterranean region. Although approximately 14 kilometers at its narrowest point, its high shipping density and political sensitivity make it vulnerable to disruption. Millions of tons of oil, containers, and bulk materials pass through annually, making it indispensable for regional commerce. Any blockade or accident would force ships to detour around Africa, dramatically increasing travel time, fuel consumption, and costs. Europe and North Africa rely heavily on this corridor for trade and energy supplies, meaning disruption could create ripple effects across multiple industries. In 2026, Gibraltar exemplifies a choke point whose narrowness belies its massive influence on trade flows, reminding us that global supply chains are only as stable as their most vulnerable passages. 8. Taiwan Strait. The Taiwan Strait, separating Taiwan from mainland China, is one of the world's most strategically significant waterways. Although not a canal, its geopolitical and economic importance makes it a critical choke point. The surrounding South China Sea routes carry vast quantities of containerized goods, electronics, and semiconductor components essential to global supply chains. Rising Chinese naval activity and military exercises have heightened fears of a blockade or conflict, which could disrupt trade throughout East Asia. Such a disruption would not only slow the global flow of electronics and technology, but also affect manufacturing, energy distribution, and regional economies. By 2026, the Taiwan Strait exemplifies how a single waterway, influenced by political tension, can have far-reaching consequences, highlighting that modern supply chains are tightly interwoven and vulnerable to strategic choke points that extend beyond simple geography. The world's strategic choke points are more than just narrow waterways. They are gateways that shape the flow of trade, energy, and resources, and their security will continue to influence global stability in 2026 and beyond. Monitoring these passages helps us understand the delicate balance that keeps economies and societies running smoothly. As tensions, climate pressures, and geopolitical risks evolve, staying informed about these vital routes is crucial for anyone interested in global affairs, trade, or energy security. If this shook you, hit like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.